Hey, good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, January 29th. This Friday, which would be the 2nd of February, grade 5 science classes will be having a quiz. So, mom and dad, the quiz is coming up um, this Friday. All your kids should have your notes. Their notes should be exactly what I have in front of us. So there should be nothing that should be, they're longing for it. Everything is available to them, either on their notes or on my notes. Very first thing we're talking about usage of water. Make sure they know what a dam is. Make sure they know the water behind the dam is called a reservoir. All right. Make sure those are very first two things that they should need to know: what a dam is and the water behind the dam. Now, next thing, over the past 100 years, the U.S. has built more dams than any other country. There are currently roughly 92,000 dams in the U.S. and 3,347 in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which is pretty shocking to me, but that is actual facts there. Um, the next question that we hammered pretty hard is, why does the U.S. need so many dams? There's four jobs that a dam carries out. The very first one, to create drinking water. The second one, hydroelectric power, flood control, and irrigation. All right, moms and dads, make sure that your sons and daughters know that hydroelectric power is made when water flows through the dam and it turns a machine called a turbine, or spins a machine called a turbine, which produces electricity. Also, make sure that you know flood control doesn't always stop floods, but it can help control them. That dams help control floods, and also farmer's best friend is irrigation for their crops, especially when you're looking out west in Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado. Those parts of the country uses dams and irrigations to water their plants. All right. Make sure they know turbine right here, so they have that. Also, make sure they know that the word hydro means water. So hydroelectric means water power. They can also obviously stop or prevent flooding, and irrigations for farming. So those are the four jobs: provide fresh water for people to drink, um, irrigation for farming, hydroelectric power, and to help control flooding. And in your notes, moms and dads, you'll see that there's pictures added to make sure the kids even have more understanding of their individual note. For this is the picture of help control flooding. All right. And here's a picture for irrigation. All right. See what else? How to build a dam. There's five steps. First thing you got to do is you need to move the water. So the first thing you got to do is move the water. Then you have to divert the water. Second, then you have to build a strong foundation. Third, lots and lots of concrete for your foundation. You create the mold to build the dam up, kind of like using Legos. That's the easiest way to explain it. And then the final steps, you have to put in a set of valves to help control the water, release it so it doesn't go up and over the top of the dam, and also for your hydroelectric power. Once again, the pictures are added here. So it gives more understanding and thoughtfulness to our notes. All right. Five biggest dams in the U.S. The ones they have to know, moms and dads, is the Hoover Dam. So, matter of fact, let me put this one in a different color. We went over five major dams, but the one that I want them to know about is the Hoover Dam. Make sure they know that. It's on the border of Arizona and Nevada. If you ever have a chance to go there on a visit, it is tremendous to tour. Tremendous to tour. Five biggest dams in Pennsylvania. We talked about this. They were going to have to need to know these: the Kinzua Dam and Raytown Lake Dam. Both of them are about 2.5 hours from the city of Pittsburgh. Great weekend getaway, especially Kenzu Lake and Dam, and actually moms and dads for Racetown for a quick, easy vacation in the summertime. You can rent a houseboat and spend a couple days on the lake. Now, not everything is good about dams. We talked about that. Sometimes they have some negative influences. And one thing they do is they stop fish from swimming upstream, uh, especially salmon. So, what has happened is engineers and scientists have got together and they built things called fish ladders, and they are designed to go alongside the dam, and the fish swim up them. Once they hit the dam wall, they go to the right or left, hit the fish ladder, and they swim up. Here's a perfect example of a fish ladder, but keep in mind they are not 100% effective. Not 100% effective. Hang on, this is a live studio audience. Um, that's Mr. Sokovia. I'll give him a call back later. Um, Bonneville Dam. Okay, make sure that you know, everybody, that hydrologists are scientists who study water. Whether it's a man or a woman, they study water and its water usage. All right. Wetlands are areas that are permanently saturated with water. They can definitely be found in the states of Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas. Make sure you know that. Make sure you know that. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania also have wetlands, but the more famous ones are in the southern states right here. Um, Obviously, the opposite of the wetlands are deserts, so make sure you know that. And oceans take up a large percentage of the planet Earth. But the problem with oceans, you cannot drink the water unless you do some work to it. The majority of water on Earth is located in the oceans. The water is salt water, and you cannot drink salt water. Hang on, it's two words. Salt water. If you drink salt water, you can and will die. All right. When water falls the sky, it's either snow or rain or sleet. It is pure water with no salt or chemicals. To a degree, it has no chemicals in it. We were more or less looking at heavy chemicals or heavy pollution, so that's why we said that in class. All right. All rivers and most lakes do not contain salt water, so people can use them as a drinking water source. If you notice, your major cities, they're located around a fresh water source. All you got to do is look at the city of Pittsburgh. You have three sources of water. And keep in mind, just because it's a lake does not mean that it is fresh water. If you go out west, there's a number of lakes that are too salty to drink. Matter of fact, if you go to Salt Lake City, obviously you have the Great Salt Lake, which is extremely salty. Moving on, fresh water. There's two types of water. Hydrologists classify two types of water: fresh water and salt water. Obviously, fresh water does not have salt, and humans can drink it. Let me see. Make sure that they know that without fresh water, the world civilization would collapse. We've talked about how barbaric things can be when your water source is threatened. I think there's a picture of an army tank because, unfortunately, people in countries have gone to war over fresh water. Over fresh water. You can find fresh water in lakes, streams, rivers, springs, and glaciers. Fresh water is used to grow crops and for to raise livestock. Another place you can find fresh water is underneath the soil. This is called um, groundwater. So make sure you know that. Obviously, we were talking about how fresh water is a sacred, essential, I guess I should say, essential part of life, and people have gone to war. So here's a picture we just threw in there to say how important it is and what people will go to protect it. Water is obviously a natural resource. We talked about other natural resources like coal and water. Non-renewable resources are resources that cannot be replaced quickly by nature. Oil is one, coal, natural gas. We talked about how in Western Pennsylvania we've had all three, obviously, with the natural gas boom the last couple of years, maybe the last 20 years now. We've also had how important coal mining is to Western Pennsylvania and how the best coal came out of a place, I believe it's Montour Mine number 5 here in Library, Pennsylvania, South Park now. And we talked about how important that is. And obviously, oil, if you go up to Ty Nest, Oil City, the first commercial oil wells are located there. Um, we talked about the importance of scientists and engineers because they make civilization easier to live. All right, here's a picture of a woman engineer. And the reason why we talked about scientists and engineers, because in 1965, researchers in California, the great state of California, developed a process called desalination. This is where you take ocean water, you extract the salt from it, and you have fresh water. I believe now the state of California has probably 25 desalination plants online. I believe there's also a couple up in the Northeast. So this is maybe the wave of the future to make sure that people have enough drinking water. We talked about Salt Lake City, or excuse me, at Las Vegas, and how the Hoover Dam, the water's draining. If you ever look at the picture of the Hoover Dam, you'll see there's a white ring behind it, and they call that the bathtub ring, where the water was and now where it is. And it just keeps going down lower and lower and lower. Right, this is a picture of a desalination plant. Obviously, it brings in salt water. I believe they boil the water out in these tanks, and it kicks over to the fresh water. There it is. All right. Let me see what else we can do. Desalination, the negative aspect of that is you have a tremendous amount of salt left over, but those same plants can take the salt, sell it to places that need rock salt for roads. But another negative factor, it is a lot of pollution initially. Now they become more effective. So that is a possibility. You will definitely find them along the coastlines. Obviously, you're not going to find a desalination plant in the state of Iowa or Ohio or Montana. You need to be near a saltwater source, so an ocean. Another great source of fresh water is glaciers. We talked about Glacier National Park in Montana. Also, another place to visit, great place to visit if you have the opportunity. I'm pretty sure Sutter in my 8th period went there. We talk about that all the time. Hang on one second. Yes, sir, Mr. Scobie. Yes, sir. Okay. 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 I'm already. But yep, got you. Perfect. All right, got you covered. Bye bye. It's my good friend, Mr. Scobie there. Glacier Lake at one time, or excuse me, Glacier National Park at one time had 150 glaciers. Now, and I believe it's under 25. Obviously, the reason why there's less now because of global warming. So this is a picture of a glacier. I believe this one's out of Alaska. Here's another picture of a glacier. Now, make sure that you understand that glaciers move at a very, very slow rate, and there's less glaciers now because of global warming. There's only 25 active glaciers remain in Glacier National Park in Montana. Please, if you have the opportunity, moms and dads, take a ride out there. I know it's a long way to get out there, but you will not regret it. Trust me. Groundwater is another important source of fresh water. Groundwater is found in between the spaces in the soil. All right. Let me see. Oh, aquifers. The underground rock formations that store groundwater are called aquifers. So if you can imagine a big sponge underground, that is your aquifer, and you drill in that, and that's where you put your well. Make sure that you know that. Make sure you know that. So this would be underground here, and here's your source of groundwater. And the reason why, because it's permeable, which allows the water to flow through the rocks. We'll talk about more more of this week. Make sure you understand permeable. And spring water comes out of the spring. There's actually a spring water right in South Park. Back behind, I think, that Texas baseball field, there's a big spring water that comes out of the ground. Actually, Mrs. Laritzen, my good friend that teaches fifth grade social studies, this is what she grew up on spring water, that she had to drive with buckets to get the spring water for her drinking water at her house. Groundwater can be extracted, taken out of the ground from wells, and you have to drill into the aquifer. All right. Groundwater is replenished by two ways, either by rain or melting snow. The last couple days this weekend, we had a lot of rain. That good slow rain helps refill your groundwater aquifer. Obviously, we have to worry about pollution. Pollution can ruin our drinking water. There's 99.7% of water on Earth, but only 0.3% is usable for us. All right. Conserving groundwater. The key word that you need to know is potable. Potable means you can drink it and use to cook with. The easiest way, I said, moms and dads, the root word is pot. Make sure that a cooking pot that they can understand that they can use to cook it. Non-potable is obviously you can't use it. All right. And we talked about how they conserve water. We answered all these questions. A couple of these questions might be on a test, and they already have all the answers to them. I'll update my notes with the answers. All right. Make sure they know about the water cycle. It's always water. It's always been moving. And the movement of water is called the water cycle. And the water cycle has no ending or beginning. It's constantly moving. Once again, the majority of water can be found in the oceans. And when the oceans warm up, the sun evaporates the water. This is called water vapor. It condenses to either snow or rain, snow, sleet, hail, or rain. And then once it hits planet Earth, the surface, it's either going to do two things to water. It's either going to become runoff, which it runs back to the oceans, lakes, streams, and rivers, or it settles into the ground and becomes groundwater. All right. That finishes up our notes. Moms, dads, any questions, please give me a call, 412-655-3111, extension 3105, or just give me an email. Hey, get to studying. Tests will be on Friday. All right. And also some exciting news. We're going to have a Challenge 24 tournament coming up. I'm going to run it first time ever in South Park Middle School. So I'm going to try my best to get that going. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.